and welcome. I am Megan and welcome to Battle Royale with Cheese, the website you can get all of your TV and film news, reviews and trailers. And I have just got back from a preview screening of the film Exit 8. This is an adaptation of a video game that came out only 2 years ago, so this was actually quite a surprise when the announcement trailer dropped. A lot of people weren't expecting this particular game to get a film adaptation, and it follows a man who is just travelling through the train subway and gets stuck in a underground subway tunnel. He then finds a notice board that gives him 2 rules. If you go through the subway tunnel and find an anomaly, so something weird or abnormal that isn't supposed to be there, turn back around. If you don't find any anomaly, keep going until you are elevated to the next level, until you get to Exit 8. That's essentially it. The game is essentially like a puzzle / walking simulator. It can either take you 10 minutes or 2 hours to complete, depending on how observant you are. I kind of think of it as like a horror spot the difference. Essentially, you're looking out for different anomalies in the same tunnel, and if you get it right, you get to the next level until you get to Exit 8. I really enjoyed the game because it's fairly simple. Anyone can play it. You just, you have to be observant and take your time playing it. But again, it has a simple premise. And I talked about this when I reviewed Iron Lung a few months back. Because it has a simple premise, you can do a lot with it when it comes to the film. You can add more details in and an actual reason as to why this is happening and why the character is there. And I really, really liked that. I really enjoyed this. I did really enjoy this. I thought this was great. There's a couple bits I would have changed personally. This is going to be a bit of a weird review because most of what I'm going to talk about is actually in spoilers. I'm going to try and talk about this film as much as I can, but because it's so simple in its premise, a lot of stuff I really want to talk about is actually in spoilers because it wasn't in the marketing, it wasn't in the trailers. Yeah, I probably want to talk about it in spoilers, but I really enjoyed this. I thought this was fantastic. It was an interesting film, I think technically as well, because it's all one location, and the film gets into that location and that situation very quickly. You get a very quick and interesting POV sequence with the main character, which tells you what his situation is with his girlfriend. Again, I want to talk about that more, unfortunately, in spoilers. He is going through the subway, he gets into the particular tunnel, the focal tunnel, and then here we go. I think the situation before it gets to that point, the sequence is probably about 10-15 minutes. We get into it pretty quickly, and then we're off. And I think it was really well paced in that regard. It didn't waste its time with anything else that it didn't need to in terms of plot. And I think once it got into things, it was spaced out really well. This is a slow-paced game, and you have to take your time with it when playing the game. It's the same thing here. The character is taking his time. Once he realises what's going on, obviously you're going to get the thing that you'd expect where the character's confused about, the situation and what's happening. So he just runs through, not knowing what's going on. And then things sort of slow down as he realises what's happening, and he takes his time. And yeah, I'm going to refer to the main character as just main character. We don't really get a name from him. He's just called the Lost Man. So I'm just going to be calling him main character. But going off from the POV sequence that I talked about, the cinematography was great. The cinematography was so good. And this goes hand in hand with something else I want to talk about, which is they really played up how eerie and disturbing and surreal this is. They really did a good job at showing you how weird this is, how creepy it is. There isn't any jump scares or anything, but it's all through tension and sound especially, actually. There's a lot of moments where it's like deathly quiet, and you just want some noise to happen because it's getting too silent. The film did really well with the use of silence and how scary that can actually be. It had a couple of musical scores in it, but not much. And then the main sound was it was a weird train like beeping noise when the doors are opening and closing, to symbolise that, oh, he's going round again. It's a new round that he's experiencing, whether he achieved it correctly or not. You know, whether he got to the next level or not. Which is really interesting. You kind of got used to that. But going back to the cinematography is really interesting as well, because a lot of it is very slow, following shots behind the main character, but then as he turns a corner, the camera will kind of lay back, like step back a bit and sort of take its time to turn around as well. A lot of times I was waiting for a jump scare or something to happen, but I really liked what they did with that. There's a lot of circular motions and movements around the main character as he's trying to figure things out, which does really well to create a very disorientating, so I couldn't pronounce the word, disorientating like environment. And of course this is an adaptation of an indie game, so of course they used quite a lot of the anomalies that were in the game. They added a couple of new ones to really tie in with the theme and the reasoning behind why main character was there. I really liked that they did actually use quite a lot of the anomalies that were featured in the game, which I really liked. The set is the exact same, and I think even the posters, a lot of them are the same as well. There are some that are a little bit different, but most of them are the exact same. The way that everything is set up is the exact same as well. And I really liked that. Like I said, with how simple the game is, I'm glad that they didn't change too much with it, because you don't need to. And it looked amazing. That plus with the cinematography, yeah, created a really eerie but sometimes weirdly beautiful environment. Like, there was a lot of really pretty shots. But yeah, that's kind of my non-spoiler review on Exit 8. I really enjoyed this. I know this is coming out in a couple of weeks' time for the UK. I was very lucky to go to a preview screening for this, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I know Japan and America got this last year. I think there was a lot of confusion about why the UK trailer had only just come out. I know a lot of people on social media were confused as to why we were only just getting it. Welcome to the world of UK film releases. We're always the ones left behind. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm glad I finally got to see it, because I've been waiting for this one for a while. And yeah, it was a nice surprise. Another, indie game adaptation to be added to the list of great ones that have come out. Okay, yeah, let's go to spoilers, because I have a few things to talk about. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So the opening scene I really liked. So the first maybe like 15-20 minutes is from main character's point of view as he's getting off the train and going through the subway tunnel that leads to the focal tunnel. And throughout it, he keeps getting a phone call from someone that we find out is his ex-girlfriend. And the situation seems to be that they broke up and then she's just found out she's pregnant. He, throughout the film, is unsure whether he wants to take fatherly responsibilities. He feels guilty about that, but at the same time doesn't want to take that responsibility on. In the very first scene, in literally the opening scene, there's a shot of him on the train and a couple of people down. There's a mother sitting down with a baby that's crying. There's another passenger that suddenly starts getting really annoyed and tells the baby to shut up, and then tells the mother off for allowing that thing on the train. And I think that whole scene is very deliberate, because it's also the ending scene of the whole film, and it's that choice of, what are you going to take responsibility or not? Are you going to just ignore what's going on, or are you going to tell the man, actually, can you be quiet? The baby has no control over what it does. Essentially saying, are you going to not man up, I think that's the wrong term to use, but yeah, essentially take responsibility, and furthermore parental responsibility. Because the whole film, his arc essentially is, what is he going to be a father or not? His girlfriend sometimes comes to him as an anomaly, and she keeps asking him, which one is it? Are you going to choose to stay with me? Are you going to choose to leave? But this is the whole reason why he's there. You find out that there's a couple of other characters who are in here as well, and I'll talk about them in a minute. But all of these characters are in this situation because they are guilty about something. They have, whether it's conflicted guilt or a guilt of some other kind, they are there because they are stuck in a guilty situation. They are guilty of something. So main character's whole arc is he's feeling guilty about potentially continuing to leave his ex-girlfriend, and whether actually he should step up and help her with the baby. My only problem with this is that realistically it does emphasize to you in the beginning that she's the ex-girlfriend. They've already broken up before this has happened, before she's found out. But it is his baby. I think, I guess this adds to like the conflict that he has and the mental conflict that he has. But I think it would have made a bit more sense if he was the current, if she was the current girlfriend and not the ex. I think her being an ex was a bit weird. I don't know. I guess that adds more to the mental conflict, but I was a bit like, I don't really feel like she needs to be an ex. You can make her a current girlfriend. And then that adds more to his situation. It's like, okay, well, is he going to be faithful to her in regards of his responsibilities? Or is he just going to leave her? I feel like they should have changed it to that, really. But that's just my opinion. I get why they did it at the same time. And yeah, like I said, there are other characters here. So what I like is that in the game, when you go through the tunnel each time, there's a man walking towards you. And he does the exact same walking cycle every single time. The anomaly with him is that sometimes he'll be a little bit taller, or sometimes he'll like run down the tunnel towards you. But those are the two anomalies with him. Aside from that, same speed, same walking speed, same appearance and everything. I love that they made him a character in the film. The film was basically split up into 3 chapters. So you got the Lost Man, the Walking Man and the Boy. And the Walking Man is this guy that I've just been talking about. And what it seemed to be is that he was also there because he's guilty of something. He's in denial of it. He gets called out by a woman that he sees in the tunnel as well. And she turns out to be an anomaly. There's a really creepy scene where she starts talking to him, but it's like she starts repeating what she's saying, as if it's like you're going through speech commands in a video game, and you keep asking that character to repeat itself in the same way. That was really creepy. That was very, very creepy, because until that point happens, you're wondering whether she is an anomaly or whether she's someone else who's also trapped. So that was a very well done sequence. But it seemed to imply that he's been there so long that he becomes an anomaly himself. He didn't start out that way, as in the Walking Man. The Walking Man didn't start out that way. He was someone who became trapped, just like main character. But he's been there so long that he's just blended in with this environment. When main character sees him at one point with the boy, he says, oh, he's not human anymore. Like, the Walking Man isn't human anymore. He's become part of this whole situation, this environment, this weird scenario. And I thought that was really, really interesting. I didn't expect them to give the Walking Man an actual character and like a bit more of a personality, but I really, really like that. Because I did think, this film's an hour and a half, how are you going to stretch this premise out to that time? But I think they did really, really well with it. And then, yeah, I mentioned the boy who's a little kid. This turns out to be the main character's future child. And originally I thought either the boy was the one that had manifested this whole situation, because there was a couple weird things that he said, where I was like, oh, do you know what's going on? Or he's more observant to everything. So I thought, okay, maybe he's created this scenario. But then as the film went on, it seemed to imply that the system, the subway system, was not pushing the main character to make a decision, but more being like, well, if you're a bit unsure, this is your future child, let's see how you behave around them and see if you can look after them and take care of them and protect them. There's a sequence which I think is in the trailer, but I can't remember, that's why I haven't mentioned it in the non-spoiler section. But there's a whole sequence where one of the anomalies is a whole bunch of water comes rushing through the tunnel. And in the game, it's just like a little trickle of water. In the film is a whole blooming tidal wave. It was terrifying. But there's a whole sequence that tests whether the main character can actually protect the boy or not, which he does through some minor mistakes. He accidentally lets go of him when they're running away from it, but he ultimately manages to protect him. Again, it's just a small issue I have with the boy, but that kid needs to learn to speak up. That kid needs to learn to speak up. When he originally starts off his story with the walking man, which is when it's revealed the walking man is also a subject trapped here. And he, a lot of the time, is travelling with this little boy. And the man misses 2 anomalies because this boy would not speak up and be like, hey, there's something weird here. He does point it out, but the man just ignores him and tries to drag him away. But then use your words. Speak up. Say something. And yes, the boy could speak. I did start to think, okay, is he too young to talk? Is he maybe mute? No, he can talk. He just couldn't be bothered. Which is, I think, another reason why I started thinking, oh, did he create this? Because I don't know what else. I don't know what other reason it would have been for him to not say anything. Again, there's a couple of things I wish the film would have done. There's a couple of things, probably like 2 changes I would have made to the film. And yeah, the last thing I want to talk about is the anomalies. So, I like that there was a particular one that I absolutely loved. In the game, when you go past the tunnel at a certain point, there's posters on like one side of the wall. And there's a particular poster with 2 eyes. I can't remember what the message is actually for, but at one point one of the anomalies is all of the eyes start following you, like sort of follow as you walk down this tunnel. And they did that sequence here. That looked fantastic because you don't really notice it at first. There's a picture of these 2 women. There's like a poster of these women, and their eyes move so slowly, you don't realise it until he's already walked past. And then it's just like, wait, did I see that correctly? And this is what I loved about the film. Like, a lot of these weird and eerie moments were kind of like a blink and you'll miss it, or they weren't in your face about it, is probably what I'm saying. They were very sort of subtle about it a lot of the time. Some of them weren't. Obviously the tidal wave, the first one that you see, the sign at the top of the tunnel literally starts bleeding. There was another sequence that was entirely in the dark. The lights, they turn the corner and the lights immediately start going out. But when it wanted to be scary, it was scary. When it wanted to be disturbing, it was disturbing. But when it just wanted to be subtle, it was subtle. And I feel like that perfectly captures the overall like essence of the game and what type of anomalies you're going to get. Some of them are going to be so subtle you won't notice it, and some of them are just going to be completely in your face. So yeah, they got that perfectly. This was great. I really enjoyed it. Yes, there's a couple of things I would have changed myself, but they're so minor to the overall film. They're just nitpicky. So yeah, I'd go see this again. I would go see this again. This is coming out in a couple of weeks' time in the UK and I think Ireland as well and the rest of Europe. Go see it. If you want to play the game as well, I have just discovered it's on the PlayStation Store. It's also on Steam as well. So I will put the Steam page down in the description below too, as well as the trailer for this. I would really recommend the game as well because anyone can play it. You don't need any like prior knowledge or prior skills of anything. You just got to be observant, take your time with the game. It's not something to play in a rush. It's not that type of game. We're doing pretty well for video game adaptation this year. We're doing pretty well with it. We need more indie games as adaptations, as film adaptations, because we're doing pretty well with that. But I was Megan, this is Battle Royale with Cheese, See you soon.